the Justice League, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman together on the big screen. Big deal, right? Yeah, it's a big deal. This is my spoiler-filled review. So if you don't like spoilers, go check out the film first, then come back and hit me up. If spoilers don't bother you, come on, y'all, let's ride. All right, the film picks up where Batman versus Superman left off. Superman is dead. He's in the ground. He ain't coming back, or so we think. And the world is in mourning, and then the world is also in chaos. And Batman is actually investigating. He had a vision in Batman vs. Superman of an apocalypse and the arrival of the parademons, and this was kind of confirmed for him by Lex Luthor at the end of the film. So he's been investigating, trying to figure out what's going on, and also get together these metahumans, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Cyborg, so they can unite and fight off this impending doom that he feels that is coming in, rightfully so. So the film opens with him trying to find out more information, and in the meantime trying to do this recruiting as well. And also it opens with Wonder Woman in a very spectacular action sequence at a bank. So we get reunited with her after the events of the end of her film, Wonder Woman. So everything kind of ties in nicely with the two films that we seen previously, Wonder Woman and Batman versus Superman. So in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the film, we kind of get up to snuff on everything, then we're off and running. Now, the film was directed by Zack Snyder along with Joss Whedon. As you well know, Zack's daughter committed suicide during the production, so he left the project, and rightfully so, and Joss came in to pick up where he left off and finish the production. As you well know also Joss Whedon directed the Avengers, and also the second Avengers film. What's the name of the second Avengers film? Ultron, the Age of Ultron. I forget. So having Joss on board was something of that was met with great fanfare, that he can kind of keep things in line in the wake of Zack's tragedy. And personally, I was trying not to, but knowing that Joss finished up the film for Zack, I was trying to find the similarities between the two, or maybe the kind of see where there was differences in the film between what Joss did and what Zack did. And I gotta admit, I didn't see it. I really didn't see it. So that is a great compliment for both these guys, because it's pretty seamless. It's pretty seamless, and I really didn't see a drop off in quality or an improvement in quality from one to the next. It's a very consistent film all the way through, and that's one of the best things I can say about it. And since this is a spoiler review, I don't mind talking about some of the things that people were talking about prior to the film coming out, as far as CGI and all these things that were a source of concern for many of the people out there. Now, first of all, Henry Cavill as Superman, yes, he comes back. Everybody knows Superman comes back, so I'm not really giving anything away by saying that. But I'm spoiling it. If you don't want to hear that, I'm going to spoil it anyway. Yes, Superman does come back, and what happens is Jason Momoa, Aquaman, I'm sorry, not Aquaman, but Cyborg and Flash actually dig him up. They determined that they can use the same amniotic fluid that Lex Luthor used to create Doomsday to actually resurrect Superman. So they dig him up and they place him in this fluid, and they use the mother box that they have in their possession, the one that helped create Cyborg as well, to basically reboot Superman. So he does come back, and one of the controversies was that Henry Cavill, who plays Superman, actually I think all of his footage was reshot by Joss Whedon, and that he had a mustache from work that he was doing on Mission Impossible, and they wouldn't let him cut his mustache, so they had to CGI it out. Now I'm gonna go on the record and say the only time I really noticed the CGI for his lip, his upper lip, was in the very first scene of the film. I noticed it a little bit. It wasn't anything distracting to me, and if I didn't know about the CGI going into the film, I never would have noticed it. I mean, but if you're looking for it, you can really tell it. And it is kind of distracting, but at the same time, it doesn't take away from the quality of the film at all. So people who are harping on that just want to nitpick, but they can go somewhere with that. That's a bunch of nonsense. Same thing for Steppenwolf, the villain. Steppenwolf is a passable villain. Villains are hard to do anyway when it comes to superhero films. So what we got out of Steppenwolf is kind of par for the course, so to speak. And some people were kind of upset that he was a CGI character versus practical effects. I kind of agree. I think it would have been better if it was more practical effects, but at the same time, he's a 7-foot monster, so to speak. So it's kind of hard to replicate that. So I understand them going with CGI. The CGI for Steppenwolf wasn't terrible. I mean, I've seen better. But once again, it does not detract away from the quality of the film. So as long as something doesn't detract from the film, I'm okay with it. So in regards to this film, it's okay. And once again, I'm talking in regards to assuming that you've already seen the film. So the things I like most about the film, first of all, the opening sequence with Batman, I love the way that was shot. It's very dark and it's very gritty. It's the Dark Knight. It's the Dark Knight. And next, the following sequence with Wonder Woman at the bank was great. It was more colorful than the sequence with Batman, and it kind of juxtaposed those two together, and I like the way they did that. And the work that Joss Whedon did, I think the more colorful work is Joss Whedon's, and the darker stuff was Zack Snyder's. I'm not sure of that, but that's my speculation. Either way, the sequence at the bank with Wonder Woman was very well done as well. I love the way she kind of busts through the door, and she's using her speed to block all the bullets, and also kicking everybody's ass, which is always something that's great to see. And the way that they put the team together was very organic. I like the way they did it. It didn't seem forced. It didn't seem rushed. It did happen pretty quickly, but it was deliberate, but with pace. And that is what you look for in a film. You don't want to feel pushed through the film, and I didn't feel pushed through it. And there was some controversy about the length of the film. People were kind of upset that it got trimmed down to 2 hours. They were expecting something more in the 2.5 hour range, and it didn't feel rushed to me at all. I liked the way that they put the team together because it did feel organic. It was quick but controlled, and that does not detract away from the film for me as well. Now, as far as Cyborg, I like the fact that they kind of built his story out. When it comes to backstory, I think Cyborg got more treatment than anyone else because we get to learn more about his interaction with his father, who actually helped create him because he was injured in a. Of course, if you know Cyborg's story, he was killed. He was actually injured in an explosion, and his dad basically used a mother box to put him back together, and now he becomes a cyborg. So he's also Victor Stone / Cyborg is conflicted with his new powers, and he feels like it's more of a curse than a blessing, that he maybe should have just been allowed to die. So I like the fact that was kind of built out into the story, and it was part of the plot of the film as far as that particular character goes in his introduction. So it made sense because of all the characters, I think Cyborg is the one that needed a little bit more time on screen to kind of get some exposition and get the layperson engaged to what Cyborg is all about. Also with the Flash. Now the Flash is a very strong character as well, and he doesn't need as much flashing out because you got the TV show, and plus the Flash is a more well-known comic book character from the DC line of comics. So he don't really need as much exposition or build up as Cyborg did, but still his introduction was a fine introduction. Everybody's seen it by now. He goes home and Bruce Wayne is waiting there, and he throws the Batarang at him, and he grabs it, and the Speed Force and everything slows down for him. That's great. It's still there, and I like the fact that character is more lighthearted without being annoying. And my hat's off to the director, the writers, and also to the actor Ezra Miller, because that character could really become very annoying very quickly with his little idiosyncrasies, little twitches, and his little one-liners and everything. But it was more measured and restrained, and he felt like a real character. So hats off to him, because I was kind of scared about that when it came to the Flash, that character was going to annoy me, because I really don't like I don't like smart ass characters who's always everything's a joke to them. I don't like that, and I don't like neurotic type characters either. So that's just a personal preference. So I was kind of scared there, but I liked the way it was kind of measured, and it really added to the vulnerability of that particular character, because he had no problems with, as you've probably seen in some of the previews in the trailers. He's telling Batman, I don't know how to do this. I just run real fast. And Batman, in a great scene, Batman tells him just to save one person. One person. And he says, okay, well, what I do next? He said, you'll know what to do. And that was great. And that plays out in the film. Aquaman's introduction was great as well. And we've seen that in the trailers as well. So there's not anything that the trailer, in the trailer that we're not gonna see in the film when it comes to Aquaman's introduction. And I think Aquaman is the most complex character because he is a much derided character. I think when it comes to the DC superheroes, Aquaman has the least respect of anyone because he talks to fish, and everybody remembers him from the Super Friends, and then the blonde-headed guy, riding the dolphins and riding the whales and using telepathy, and it was just really, Aquaman is a stupid character. If you look at it from the Super Friends television cartoon series, he's a really stupid character. So having Jason Momoa play him more like a badass surfer dude, great. He pretty much steals every scene that he's in, and it's great. And once again, it's kudos to him to do this character in the way that he did him without him being annoying. Because once again, the surfer dude, the laissez-faire surfer dude can become really, really annoying really, really fast. And he measured him with the badassery and the kind of laid back surfer dude persona, and melted it into a character that is cohesive and also engaging, and someone that I really, really, really want to see more of in the future. And then the Aquaman film which is coming out, I think, in December of next year. I'm really looking forward to it because I think this is a great character, and the sequence in Atlantis between Mera, played by Amber Heard, who we'll see a whole lot more of in the standalone Aquaman film. She has a cameo in this film. And Aquaman and Steppenwolf, the fight that they have underwater is great. I was kind of concerned as to how the underwater sequences would be. And if that is any indication of what we're going to see in the standalone film, then hey, I'm all in. So the introductions of the characters were awesome. Also, the introduction of Steppenwolf was pretty nice as well on Themyscira with the Amazons. And I think the best action sequence in the whole film is the fight between Steppenwolf and the Amazons. The way they play keep away with the mother box. And it was very exciting, and the stakes were there as far as them trying to keep it away from him. And so I love the way everything with the Amazon so far in the DCEU, being a Wonder Woman and now in this film, has been great. And I want to see a whole lot more of that. These women are very powerful, they're resourceful, and I want to learn more about them. So I love that portion of the DCEU when it comes to these women, the Amazons. Props to them. And I really can't wait to see more from them as well. So now as the team gets together, now naturally you're going to have some conflicts, and they have conflicts as far as some philosophy as far as what they're going to do to defeat Steppenwolf. And as the stakes get higher, they decide they have to have Superman. And what Bruce ultimately wants to do is dig his body up and resurrect him by using the ship that Lex Luthor used to resurrect to create Doomsday from Zod. And Wonder Woman is not hearing any of it. So she's opposed to it because she's pretty much like, let sleeping dogs lie. And Batman's like, no, we need this guy. We can't win without him. And it's pretty apparent that they can't, because their battles with Steppenwolf, even though they hold their own, they're not really making any progress. And Steppenwolf has really completed his objective by getting the three mother boxes. So they really do need the Kryptonian to balance things out and to give them the upper hand. So they decide to dig him up, and they use the Flash and Cyborg to dig him up. And then they take him back to the ship, and they dip him in the fluid, and Superman is resurrected, and Superman comes back, and he doesn't know anybody. He's kind of disjointed and out of sorts. And I think I'm glad they did it that way versus him, him rising and immediately recognizing everyone and getting right back to work, because there was a great sequence where he fights off Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman. There was a great action scene there where they all kind of fight each other, and the fact that Superman is kind of struggling with this, and he's trying to remember things because he's been dead for a minute there, and the battle between he and Wonder Woman is very well shot, and I like the dynamic between them. She doesn't want to fight him, but she has to, and it's kind of a restrained fight, but at the same time, it's very exciting. And then of course you got Aquaman and Cyborg also trying to fight him off as well, and they're having trouble with him. And probably one of the better sequences of the film, the Flash uses his Speed Force to try to run around him, and Superman, who is just as fast as the Flash, his eyes kind of follow the Flash, and the Flash sees that he sees him with something he's never seen before because he's so fast people can't even see him move. So they make eye contact, and it's just hilarious the way that it happened. I love the way that was shot, and the amazement on the Flash's face is just brilliant. It's just brilliant. And of course, Bruce Wayne, Batman, they try to tell him to stay away because if the first thing Superman sees when he wakes up is you, he's gonna kill your ass. So Batman decides to kind of lay back in the cut, but once he sees that they really can't restrain Superman, he brings out his contingency plan, which is Lois Lane. So, and once Superman sees Lois, she's able to calm him down, and she has him take her back to Kansas, and we're kind of on from there, where she reindoctrinates him into the world, brings his mom back. So we get Superman back. Now we're on into the third act of the film, and in the third act, is always action packed, and I like the fact that they base this in Russia, in a small Russian town that's kind of like Chernobyl, where there was some sort of nuclear reactor, and the place is like pretty much abandoned. There's only a few families living there because they want to, obviously it's going to be a big battle, and there's going to be a lot of destruction and everything. So they're trying to minimize the casualties. Now, obviously that was on purpose because everyone was so pissed off at the end of Batman vs Superman, and also end of Man of Steel, with all the destruction of property and people dying and everything. So they made the conscious decision to have them fight in abandoned areas. There's a sequence in a tunnel, and also a sequence in the small Russian town where there's just, very few casualties. The only real casualties are the parademons, who are kind of disposable. They're good disposable villains though. The parademons, I like them a whole lot more than I like those orcs from the Avengers, because the parademons seem to have a little bit more oomph to them, and you feel like they are more of a threat than those orcs were. I never felt that the Avengers were in any kind of danger with those orcs at all. So I did feel a sense of danger with the parademons, along with Steppenwolf, and that takes us into some great action sequences in the final act, and the best of those action sequences are, of course, the Aquaman sequences that you've seen in the trailers, where he kind of surfs the Batmobile with Bruce Wayne, with Batman, and then leaps up and he's grabbed by the parademons, and they kind of carry him away, and he uses his trident to fight them off, and then Cyborg grabs him and slings him back into action, and everybody's seen the shot where he kind of surfs this one parademon through a building, and that's a great shot. It's a great shot in the trailer. It's a great shot in the film. Now the action in the film is awesome throughout. All the action sequences are great. They're all above average, which is not surprising, because one thing Zack Snyder can do is action. He's a great action director. Kind of weak on story, but a great action director. And he gave me exactly what I wanted to see from each character, as far as showing what they can do with their own particular skill set. So very, very, very well done there. And And once again, the story itself, the critics have said that the story is kind of weak. I don't think it's that weak because you get from A, B, C, and D. The pacing is fine, and you get the objective, and you know exactly what everybody's trying to accomplish. So it might not be the most compelling story, but it's not a bad story. And when you couple the action with that story, you have a pretty solid film. For 2 hours, it's good entertainment. It's a very good film. I highly recommend it. It's an above average action film. It's an above average comic book film, and it's a great direction for the DCEU. And I want to see more of these characters. I want to see the Aquaman standalone film. I want to see the Flash film. I want to see Wonder Woman 2. I want to see another Man of Steel film. I definitely want to see the new Batman trilogy that's coming down the pipe as well. And I wouldn't be opposed to a Cyborg film at all. And I think Cyborg, of all the characters that might get left out of a standalone film, it'll be Cyborg, kind of like Hawkeye from the Avengers. Everybody, is getting out their own movies, but him, and also Black Widow. I think Cyborg might fall victim to that as well. And I'm not gonna say it because he's a black villain, a black hero, but that may be some of it as well. He's just not as well known. But if Black Panther does well, that might convince the folks over at Warner Brothers to maybe revisit and do a Cyborg film. So here's hoping that Black Panther does really well as well. So overall, the critics have not been kind on Rotten Tomatoes. The aggregate has not been kind to Justice League, and some of the reviews have been less than promising by the critics as well. Don't listen to them. I respect their opinions, but this is not a bad film. It's not a great film, but it's far from a bad film. It is a good action, entertainment, blockbuster film that I think if you're into the comic book films, you're into action films, you're into entertainment, it's a great way to spend your 2 hours. It really is. And I was very entertained by the film. It was great as a DC fan and also as a Justice League fan to finally see them on the screen. I'm not anti-Marvel, but I am pro-DC, but I'm also pro-good movie. And if this movie sucks, I would say it sucks. And the movie does not suck. I think most of the online critics, the reviews have been more positive than maybe some of the print critics who are out there. But I really don't see what they see or they claim they see as far as the flaws in the film. They're saying the CGI is bad. CGI is not bad. It's not top notch, but it's not bad. And it does not detract away from what you're trying to see in the film. And I see everyone's kind of upset about the box office tracking, that the film is going to open for less than 100 million in North America, which is kind of disappointing return because the film was projected to do about $110 million opening weekend. Batman vs Superman did 160 million. Wonder Woman did 103 million. Thor Ragnarok just did 122 million, and right now Justice League is tracking to come in between 95 and 100 million. That's a lot of money. And it might be disappointing when it comes to maybe the expectation, but when it comes to box office, I really don't care. I don't care how much money a film makes. I just care that it's good. Now, it is important as a fan of the series to want to see more. I think the film has to be profitable for them to want to sink more money into it, or maybe redo or in the next film not have such a big budget, because the Justice League budget is reported to be in excess of $300 million, which basically means that the film has to gross $600 million to even break even. So it probably needs to grow $700 to $800 million to be profitable. And I think the film can do that no matter what. It might be a bit of a stretch, but I think some of the overseas box office, of course, is going to help it in that regard. But people are saying that if the film doesn't gross $1 billion, it's a failure. Well, Batman vs Superman didn't gross $1 billion. Neither did Man of Steel. And I don't think a film has to gross. It just kind of shows you where our priorities are and how sick the money is nowadays when it comes to these movies. Because now if a movie doesn't gross $1 billion, it's a failure. Really? $1 billion? With a B? Just because the Marvel films have grossed over $1 billion, the Fast and Furious films have grossed over $1 billion, really don't mean anything to me. I just want the film to be good. I want it to be profitable because that means we'll see more. So I'm hopeful. That's the only reason I'm hopeful that it gets more money than it's scheduled to get so far or projected to get. But 95 to 100 million dollars, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And if there's a slight drop off for next week's receipts, then we'll kind of see where it kind of goes. If there's a more than like a 60 or 70% drop off, then yeah, the film is not gonna, probably not gonna make the kind of money they expected to make. But I hope that doesn't stop them from making another one. Just I can't say make a better film because the film is good. It really is good. So I'm kind of perplexed by this whole situation, but I am hopeful that we will see more of the Justice League. The performances are rock solid. Batman is the best. Ben Affleck as Batman is the best Batman I've ever seen on film, and I really hope he decides to come back as well. But there's some issues there. Obviously, Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, is wonderful in her role. I'm in love with Wonder Woman. I'm in love with that character, and I can't wait to see her again. Aquaman, like I said before, I'm really hopeful at the prospects of that particular film as well, and I think it's going to crush when it does come out next year. I think it's coming out December of next year, so I think it's going to crush because that character is so well realized by Jason Momoa, and I think James Wan is directing it, and he's a great director. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with Aquaman. Of course, we got Shazam that's coming out. It's been cast as well, so I think that film goes into production in a few months. Flashpoint, the Flash film. I know it was on the slate, but then they pulled it off because they're looking to get a new director. I think they're still kind of rebooting that, but I think that character equipped himself well enough in the film to warrant getting his own standalone film as well. The only one, like I said before, that I'm kind of concerned about is Cyborg, but I think he was fleshed out enough in Justice League to where I want to see more of his story as well. So moving forward, I think it's very positive for DC and the DCEU. And I think people have to kind of get away from the whole Marvel thing and thinking that it has to match up with Marvel every step of the way. In order for it to be a viable franchise. It's already viable because Wonder Woman kicked ass all summer long, and it's one of the most profitable films of the year. Suicide Squad was profitable. Man of Steel was profitable. Batman vs Superman, even though it was controversial, the film still was profitable. It didn't make as much as they thought it would make, but it was still profitable. And why Justice League is not getting the kind of love that I think it should get, like the Avengers, is really, that's the thing that kind of perplexes me more than anything else, because you got the most iconic Super Bowl I knew I was going to say that, superheroes in pop culture: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash. These are icons of the comic book world. So for folks not wanting to get out and see them, it's kind of amazing to me, because it can be because of the trailers, because the trailers are great. The trailers are great, and do people pay that much to critics? I never paid much attention to critics. I will always read their reviews and everything. And if they say a film is great, then yeah, it heightens my want to see it. But I've never not seen a film because of what a critic has said. If I watch the trailer and I think the trailer is nice, and it heightens my desire to see the film, I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna go see it no matter what a critic said. If a critic says it's bad, I'm gonna go see it, see why the critic said it was bad. But I know movies cost a lot nowadays, and to take a family out or a girlfriend out, to a film or whatever, you're gonna spend $20 to $50 easy. So I get it. It's a big investment, and especially when it comes to all the other things that are out there that are at our disposal nowadays. It's easy for us to lose our attention when it comes to films. So but I still don't get why there's so much hatred towards Justice League, Batman, Superman, and the DCEU, and just so much love for Marvel. I just really don't get it, and maybe somebody out there can help me understand it, because I don't understand it. I just want the films to be good. I'm a DC guy, but I'm not anti-Marvel. I think Winter Soldier is one of the greatest superhero films ever made. It's on my top 5 list of all time great superhero films. I was not a fan of the Avengers, and not because of any bias or anything like that. I just was not. The first time I saw Avengers, I liked it. Saw it again, liked it less. Saw it again, liked it less. So the more I see it, the less I like it. That has nothing to do with bias or anything. I just didn't enjoy. I didn't like the Avengers. I never felt that the stakes were as high as everybody said they were, and that the villain was terrible, and the battle with the orcs and everything. I never felt that the Avengers were in any kind of jeopardy. I just didn't. But obviously people love it. I thought Ultron was better than the first Avengers. I thought Civil War was great. So I'm not an anti-Marvel guy. Any Marvel film that comes out, I go see it. I haven't seen Ragnarok yet, I will admit that much, but I'm going to see it. But I just prefer the DCEU because I think the DCEU is more grounded, if it's possible, more grounded in reality than the Marvel films are. And the Marvel films are more lighthearted, whereas I like the darker tone of the DCEU. That's my personal preference. But I have nothing against Marvel, and I really don't get the hatred. It's like Republican versus Democrat when it comes to Marvel and DC and the DCEU. I really don't get it. I guess it's not for me to get. But I highly recommend the film. I hope I haven't spoiled it too much, but let me know what you think. Hit me up on Twitter at WhatLonzoThinks. Email whatlonzothinks@gmail.com. Subscribe below. Comment below. Please subscribe. Hit me up. Let me know what you think. I still get a lot of responses from people, so I do appreciate the responses that I do get. And the banter is really starting to grow between me and my listeners. So keep it up. Keep hitting me up. I'll keep hitting you back. It's all in fun. And your comments, I really do appreciate it. The negative and the positive comments. If I misspeak on something, damn it, hit me up and let me know, and I'll try to fix it. But I'll defend myself as well. I feel that your criticism is unwarranted, or that is off base a little bit. I'm not perfect. I don't know everything about everything, and I try to do as much research as I can, but once again, I'm offering up opinions as well. But please, keep sending me your comments. They're greatly appreciated. Like I said, subscribe, comment below, let me know what you think. Justice League, go see it. It's a good film. Take your kids, take your girlfriend, go by yourself. I'm gonna go see it again. I'll probably see it 3 or 4 times in the theater myself. It's a great theater experience. Go see it. It's a good film. Stick around for the end credits. The post credit sequences are some of the best that you'll ever see. I'm not gonna ruin that for you. Stick around and watch the post. There are 2 post credit sequences, so stick around for both of them. And those post credit sequences, especially the second one, really adds a lot to the film because it does something that is gonna excite you for the future of the DCEU films. So I hope the film does well enough to where they're going to make more. But if not, at least I finally got a chance to see the Justice League on the big screen. Can't wait to see the DVD when it comes out. I'll be the first one to buy it. And it's a great film. It's not going to win Academy Awards or anything. It's a great, fun film, and it does a lot for the DCEU, and it makes you want to see more of these characters moving forward, and that is the greatest compliment that I can pay any film, that I want to see more of those particular characters. Good job, Zach. Best wishes, you and your family. Good job, Joss. I appreciate you coming in and doing what you did. And this is what Lonzo thinks. Bye.